Hi, this is Lee Solden. I'm going to help you learn some Norwegian. This is a continuation from my first video on this. This I'll call Norwegian 2. Look at Norwegian 1 before you look at this one. Let you know on Norwegian 1 from about the 9-minute mark to the 14-minute mark, I'm covering how my system goes. You want to hear about that? Go to that video. Okay, today we're going to get right into teaching you some Norwegian. Okay. So I'm starting on story 3, which is found at the 2:53 mark on the Norwegian class 101, 20-minute version of Norwegian listening practice. Okay. So the first sentence says, En man ringer legekontoret. Okay. A man is calling the doctor's office. Okay. Word by word. And a man is man. Okay. N is for common, by the way, whereas they have a for feminine and et for neuter. So but, they don't have to use the uh, feminine. Uh, if you hear it, you should know what it means. But if you want to say, you want to never say I, you always use N for common, which is basically the combination of all feminine and masculine lumped together. Always use N. You're okay. Anyway, en man, a man, a ringer, rings, calls the doctor's office. Legekontora, legekontora. Lega means doctor. Kontur is an office. And then you have this et at the end. So kontura. The T is not pronounced. It just sounds like a trailing E, which is an as an up. That et is there for the word the. So where it says the man is calling the doctor's office, well, there is no word the in the sentence, but it's there in the et ending on legekontura. Okay. Um, and that ending would be en if it was common, or if you wanted to use the feminine gender, you could put an a there. This contour ends with an r. So just add an a if you wanted to put the for feminine gender. The rule on that, by the way, adding the a is that if there's another vowel at the end of the word, just change it to an a. And then to add an et, well, you add an et unless there's already an e there, then you just add a t. Same thing with adding an en. If there's already an e there, you just add the n. Okay, and see here. Okay, I'm gonna give you the conjugation of the verb ringa. Okay, ringa, to ring, to call. Um, the is just an infinitive marker. I could have said, well, the infinitive is ringa. That's fine. It is. It is. I'm going to always say ringa to identify for you that I'm about to say the infinitive. So the means nothing. Just means, hey, I'm about to say the infinitive. Then ringa is the actual infinitive. Ringa. Okay. To call. Okay. Present tense, ringer. It doesn't matter. I call, you call, we call, they call. It's always going to be ringer. There's only one form for the present tense, ringer. Then they have a command form, ring. Okay. This is a very regular verb. Not the most regular, but it's pretty regular. Okay. Um, so from ringa, you simply add an R, get your present tense, ringer. Ring, the command form, you drop the E from the infinitive ringa to just ring. Okay. Past tense, there's three different ways to form a past tense. This here is one of them. Put a T on the end. So it ends with from ringa to ring it. And there's not an exact rule on this, but uh, if the if the letter before the E is a K or a G, it often goes to a just add a T. Okay. So I rang would be yai ring it. Okay. Now, how about how you say I have rang the office. Have rang. Well, you use har, have, ha, ha to have, which conjugated add the R, har. Okay, so have is har. I have rang. Yai, har, ring it. Okay, you might recognize that ring it. I just said ring it's the past tense. Well, if the past tense ends with et, then also the past participle will be the same form. Okay. It's not true in other verb types. So this is one of three verb types, the ones that ends with et. And for that verb type, the uh, past tense is also going to be the past participle. So har ring it. Okay, had rung, hada ring it. Okay, so hada means had, Hadde. By the way, hada is a second of two types. Okay, more of that later. And I always list these verbs in the order of infinitive, present, command, past tense, present perfect, and past perfect. So present perfect, what does that mean? It means like he has done something. And past perfect, he had done something. Um, oh, when I conjugated that ringa, notice I said ring it was the past tense. Well, it ends with a T, and you might wonder, well, wait a second, T's don't get pronounced at the end of words. Well, there are exceptions. One exception being um, if it's a verb form. Okay, you do pronounce that T on the verb form at the end of a word. Okay. Um, okay, we have a compound word here, lega contura. Uh, so consists of doctor, office. Okay. All you look at is for the gender of the overall word is whatever gender of the last noun in the compound word. So you look at contour is neuter, therefore the whole word's neuter. Okay, and German is the same way. Um, um, Lega, doctor, is a masculine word, or more correctly, should say is a common word, which once upon a time was a masculine word. Okay. Um, let's keep going. And I decided to read this off a script today. I did the first video just off the top of my head after studying, mind you. So, okay. Second sentence. Okay. And Second sentence starts at 256 on the video. Nar mahan vara pa lega kontura. When, excuse me, when does he need to be at the doctor's office? Or what time does he need to be at the doctor's office? Okay, nar is when, ma, must, time, he, vara, be, pa, at, can be in at or on. Here it is at. Lega contura, the doctor's office. And again, got the et on the end here of the word. It's not a verb form, so you are not pronouncing the T. Lega contura. See here. So I have vara. This was a main verb in the language, right? To be. Related to German, one common thing that German and Norwegian has is the past tense of to be is var. What's the difference between German and this language? They spell uh, there's more than one way. Excuse me. The only way a German makes a V sound is with a W. Okay, their V's are F's, so you're down to just using the W. So they spell it var, W-A-R, and this language is V-A-R. Same word. And the infinitive comes off of that, vara. Okay, so it's a little different. English doesn't really have a proper infinitive. It's just to be for the infinitive. It doesn't relate to any of the other words in the conjugation. Okay. So alvara, to be, r, spelled er, and again it's y. Well, look, vara in the middle of that you got r going on, right? So r, er comes from vara, so it makes sense. It's spelled, I mean, it's pronounced r. Okay, so he is, you are, they are, it is. It's always going to be are. There is only going to be one verb form per tense. So present tense is are. And then var means spelt with V, then the A and the E look like they're backwards from each other. That letter R is the command form. Well, command form is pretty regular. You got vara, drop that E, and you got var. That's command form. Past tense is also var, but spelled V-A-R, a little different spelling. Okay, then har, vart. Okay, in this case, it's somewhat an irregular verb. There's no connection between var and the past participle vart. Okay, um, so has been har vart, had been hada vart. Okay, and oh, you can also, little memory trick, you can see R. Well, when you see ER, looks like air, doesn't it? But if you know it's pronounced like R, it does mean R in English, right? I mean, they say you are, you're going to use R in both languages. So of course R also means is, but at least you got a hint there. Okay, and okay. Um, nar is when, ma is must. Ma is a modal verb. Okay. You don't need to know what that means. Just the practical effect of it being a modal verb. Number one, you don't have to put the in a succeeding verb. So here our verbal phrase is ma vara, must be. Okay. In non-modal verbs, you'd have to put an ah, the a with the circle over it, before the vara. You'd have to put the infinitive marker there. But with modal verbs, you don't need that infinitive marker, so it's just ma vara, must be. Okay. And see here. The other practical thing is, in general, you only are going to use the present tense of a modal verb. So you don't have to worry about how to conjugate it. Just know that ma means must. There is an exception. Is one modal verb, will, which is want, but you are going to learn villa, but not for a while yet. Um, Villa shows up in some of the other conjugations, which I'm not covering. I'm gonna limit for now to 5 things: present tense, command form, past tense, present perfect, and past perfect. Okay, it's enough for you to learn today, right? Um, okay, third sentence starts 3 minutes. Kan, Kan, is another modal verb. Okay, and it means can. Okay, so that's easy. Um, okay. Hi. Vordan Kanyai Yelpadai. Hello, how can I help you? Hi is I. They spelled H-E-I. Vordan is silent H. Vordan. But notice that that's the word for how, but you say how many, you don't use Vordan, you use just vor. Vor, H-V-O-R, equals where, but it also equals how in such phrases as how many. When you're saying how many, you're not talking about, well, how do you do something or how can I help you? You're talking about a slightly different definition, right? So they don't use Fordon for that or how many, but they use it for how can I help you or how do you do this, that kind of thing. Okay. So Fordon can, yan, I, yelp, help, die, you. Now Yelpa is spelled H-J-E-L-P-E. So when you're reading it, it's easy to understand. It means help. But because the H is silent here, when you hear it, you have to know that it's Yelpa, right? Just a little hint there. If a person's yelping, well, aren't they screaming? They could be screaming for help, couldn't they? If they're yelping. Oh, why is that person yelping? Yeah, maybe they're screaming for help. Yelp. Okay. So we kind of have the word in English, Yelp, but a little different definition. Yelp means help. Okay. Um, Go over the conjugation of Yelpa. Yelpa. So, okay, Yelper, simply add an R. In the story, we just have the Yelpa, which is the infinitive form. The verbal phrase is can Yelp. Don't need the uh, uh, infinitive marker because can in this language is a modal verb, and all that means is it doesn't take the marker. Okay. Okay. Um, okay. Vordan, Kanyai, Yelpa, die. Back to the conjugation. You simply add an R. That's all you do ever to conjugate a verb. Take the infinitive, add an R. And what does it give you? It gives you all the present tense. There's only one word in the present tense, so it's pretty quick. Add nar, you're good for I, you, he, etc. Command form, yelp. Okay, just drop the E from the infinitive. And now this is an irregular past tense, yelp. Okay, and then we got har yulpit, har yulpit. Vowel changes again. So E in the infinitive goes to an A in the past tense, and the past participle goes to you. Yulpit. Har yulpit has helped. Hada yulpit had helped. Okay. 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 Die means you. But we learned that do meant you. Well, die is you as an object. Okay. How can I help you? Die. DEG. Next. And not used to the software I'm using. The fourth sentence is at 304. It says, Nar stinger dairy idag. Okay. When nar, stinger, close, dairy, you, idag. I use my Dutch accent there. It's idag. You don't say like in Dutch, right? Idag. I believe that depends on the accent though. In somewhere in Norway, I'm probably good on saying idag, but it's idag. Okay. When do you close today? Note that the verb and the um, pronoun dairy, you, are inverted for this question, which is just pretty much how English does it, right? So instead it doesn't say when you are closing today, no, it says when close you today. Okay. Um, so dairy, you have to know how to pronounce that because it's D-E-R-E. Normal rules, trailing E is an so dara, no, it's dairy. Okay, so you just have to know that, and the double E sound and then E, dairy. And that means you as more than one person. So he's asking when do you all close today? Not asking the clerk when does she close. That would be do. Okay. They're using dairy here, talking about all the people at the place. Okay. Um, conjugate stinga. It looks like stenga. The E there. If I said stenga, I'd be no more or less correct or incorrect. They say the verb somewhat indistinct, and I tend to just go to an I for that and say stinga. So they're trying to say stenga, which is also just as incorrect because they're not saying either. Really, they're saying an indistinct verb, stinga. Okay, I'll stinga, to close. Okay, how do you conjugate to present tense? Add nar, stinger. How do you make a command form? Close now. Sting. Just drop that E from stinga to sting or sting. I think more likely they're going to actually pronounce that E when it's one syllables and say sting. Stinkta. Okay. They just how do you get to the past form? Well, So here, this is in group one, the most common uh, type of verb, right? They've by far, this is what you're going to see most of, and they're very straightforward in conjugation. Add an R for the present tense, drop the E for the command. For the past tense, you insert a T before the E. So from stinga, you got stingta, okay, or stengta. So stingta, I close, yai, stingta, okay. And then from there, for the past participle, you drop the E from the past tense. So if it was stinkta or stenkta, so has closed, har stenkt. So stenkta closed, har stenkta. Sorry. Stenkta is closed, har stenkt is has closed. And then hada stenkt is um, had closed. Okay. So I'm going through that one more time. Could rewind, I guess, but I'll go through it one more time anyway. Add the R to get the present tense. Drop the E to get the command form. Insert a T before the E to get the past tense. Now, drop that E from the past tense to get your past participle. Okay. And then you wonder, well, what about the har and hada? Do they ever change? No, they never do. Over in German, one verb out of 10 has a different verb size to have. But like English, Norwegian never uses anything but to have. Ha, in this language, to have. Oh, ha, to have. Okay, moving on. Okay, fifth sentence starts at 306. Says, "Vi stinger klocka sex," or "Vi stinger klocka six." Again, the same thing, whether I say one or the other, it's like in between. "Vi stinger klocka six." I'm gonna stick with the I. Okay. "Vi stinger klocka six, men venligst kom för halv six." We close at 6 o'clock, but please come before 5:30. The way they say for 5:30 is halfway to six. Halv six. Halv is half. Six. So half six means 5:30 because you're half the way to six. The stinger. The. Vi. Close. Stinger. That's close. Conjugate for present tense from stinger to stinger. Klocka, six. Klocka means o'clock, or just the word clock. Um, that is that's being used as a feminine uh, word here. It really means the clock, but you don't need to know that. Clock is how they say o'clock. Um, so we stinger clock at six. We close at 6 o'clock. Men is but. Then lixt is please. Come for half sex. Before for is before. Um, and then you have how, and then six, half six. So we have the verb coma. A coma. K-O-M-M-E. Oh, correcting last video, I spelled spur wrong. It's 2 R's. Okay. Okay. Just back to this story here. A coma, to come. Comer, let's add that R. Comb, not quite the usual. You didn't just drop the E, you also got rid of one of the M's. So it's just K-O-M. I came, yeah, I come. I came, yeah, I come. Past tense is the same as the command form in this case. And then we have har komet and hara komet. Okay, and again, it's very irregular, does uh, not base the past participle on the past tense here, but present tense is quite regular as usual. Coma goes to comer. And the present tense is by far the most regular tense. Top of my head, I can think of, well, there's a few verbs that are irregular in the present tense, but chief one being vara, right, goes to are. Okay. And so that was sentence. Okay, next sentence, it can be 311. Okay, u ka tak skalduha. Okay, okay, they pronounce it u ka. O is main pronunciation for O is u, like a double O in hoot in English. And then the K, they're saying an AW sound, so u ka. Tak means thank you. Skalduha. Skal, shall, do, you, singular you, ha, have. And okay, I put the conjugation of to have. Ha, all, ha, to have. And it's kind of familiar, right? I mean, have, okay, drop the VE, you got ha. Okay. There's several verbs like that that take the first couple letters of our verb in English, right? Ta, take. As an example, okay. Aha, to have. Har, add an R, you got har. Okay. And you can see this constantly throughout all these lessons because har is always going to show up in the compound tense. One of them, okay. So, ha is the command form. This is not unusual. When you have a really short verb like ha, you can't shorten it because usually most regular verbs you like drop the e to get the command form. Well, ha doesn't have an e there. Matter of fact, this form, this one of the three types of verbs is classified by the fact it doesn't have an e at the end. It ends with a, so it's in its own class. It's the third class. So you can't shorten ha, so that's your command form. That's typical for the other short verbs like that, okay? And then you have hada, that's the past tense, not sound like English, isn't it? Hada means had or not had. Okay, yeah. So I had, hada. Okay. Then har hot conjugates with its own verb. Har hot, have, had, and hadda, had. Okay. Um, and I'll read this again. I always put the verbs down in order of present command, past tense, present perfect, and past perfect. Okay. And we're on to the next story, which is going to be at 351 on the audiobook I'm teaching you. Okay. Okay. En gut laser fra dag bukas see. A boy is reading from his journal. Well, journal, they say daybook, dag buka. Okay. And they put that in the, okay, book is a feminine noun, and they put an A on the end, so it's the book. Now, the word the book is not in English, it says his journal, right? But all Norwegian cares about is that a definite or indefinite noun? Well, definite means it's a very specific object, whereas indefinite means any old whatever. Like this is not just any old book here. This is his book, so it is a definite book. We're talking about his journal, and because it is defined exactly which book you're talking about, we call it the definite case. Okay, just think of that word defined. For define, associate that with definite. Okay, so if you've defined what book you're talking about, it's a definite now, and because it's his book, it's a definite now, right? And gut laser fra dagboeken see. Okay, and is a gut is boy, laser reads fra 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 from dagboeken journal see his. We'll go more into how you do the hises. It's going to vary depending on gender, but not going to cover that this lesson. Plenty for you to learn otherwise. At the moment, um, okay. I do want to note that that word si is also a verb. See is to say. Okay. So I just when I see a word and it has another definition you're going to be learning soon enough, I like to tell you right up front so you don't get confused. Later on, you see the SI there, you might think, well, isn't that his? Yeah, it could be also, it could be the verb to say. Um, okay, conjugating laser to read. Okay, laser and nar. Less. You drop the E to get the command. Read. Read that now. Read. Less. Okay. Um, Past tense. From laser, insert the key before the E. Lesta. Okay. Um, Past participle, har lest. And drop the E from the lesta. Okay. Har lest and hada lest for had read. Okay. And this was type 1, group 1 verb, the most common one, the easiest to conjugate, the least amount of thinking to conjugate it. It takes as much brain power to conjugate one of these verbs as it does to just conjugate the present tense of a Spanish verb. You go to conjugate a Spanish verb, you gotta learn five, five different people, a different one for you, a different one for he, a different one. Now here, you remember five things, you got five tenses covered, right? Spanish, you learn five things, you just covered the present tense, and that's it. Here, cover the present tense. Laser. Done. Just one verb form. Okay. And I mentioned Lucas feminine. Okay. So far, I'm not finding these notes very um, helpful. I already know this stuff, but a couple of cases it's reminded me to say something. So that's why they're there. Okay. Okay, so the next sentence, this is the second sentence of the fourth story. 354. Waar war den firste Kingen guten Jura Idag? Idag. Got to pronounce that G. Okay. Okay. You get so trained not to say the G's, like an IG at the end, is E, but you got it. You do have to pronounce the G in Dag. Okay. Waar war den firste Kingen guten Jura Idag? Okay. Pronunciation wise, Jura has a D toward the end. You don't pronounce it. Um, Good enough for pronunciation notes. What was the first thing the boy did today? And that's pretty much exactly what it says in Norwegian. Va, what, var, was, den, the, oh, the, okay. They do have the word the, because now you have the next word as an adjective. First, first. Tingen. So the first thing, they put the en on the end of ting, which is thing. It sounds familiar, right? They do. Like German, they don't really use ths. The average German is pretty poor at saying a th sound. Okay, so instead of thing, it is ting, and they actually spell it ting. Okay, and in German, you'll see a lot of words spelt with th, but they still get pronounced t, just a t. Here, they don't even have ths in the language. They just put a t there, make it simple. Ting. Okay. Waar war den firste tingen? Well, den firste tingen. The word the comes in there twice. It's redundant. Why? Well, this was the way they do that. A lot of languages have redundancy. I'm studying Finnish right now. They'll have three words in a row, all have the same marker at the end to make sure you know exactly what case it is three times over. Here, they're telling you that it's a definitive case by putting the den there. And then first has E on the end of the first means first. In both languages, it's spelled F-O cross R-S-T here. Was English is an I for the vowel, but still first. Why is the E there? Because you always have to put an E at the end of any adjective if it's definite, right? So again, they're telling you it's definite by putting that E at the end of the adjective and tingen. Well, again, it's definite. They put the en on the end of ting to tell you it's definite. So here, well, three times over, they're telling you this is definite. That's the way they do things. That's all. Okay. Now, den for the is for common. Okay. De, it looks like det, 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 but you don't pronounce the de, is the for neuter. And I don't know if I mentioned here, de is pronounced D. Okay. It's same exact word from German, D, which they spell D-I-E over in German, but here it's D-E-D. That's the plural the, just like over in German. Okay. So what was the first thing the boy, Guten, got en on the end, says the boy, Ura did idag. Um, and I'm probably doing that wrong. I think, okay. I'm not positive if I'm right about that. That could be Yorda, not Yora. Can't remember. Okay, not gonna listen to it right now. I didn't write it down in my didn't write down a note on it here. Okay. Okay. Look over the conjugation of Yura, to do. Um, the present tense is irregular, kind of. Okay. Normally you add an R. So Yura, would you go to Yura? Nope. You drop the E and go to Yur. But notice, even though it's an irregular verb, you ended up with an R at the end of the verb form. This happens a lot. Okay. So even though a verb's irregular, it can often have an R at the end, like R is ER. It's irregular, but it has an R at the end. So still quite recognizable as the present tense. So here, your is quite recognizable as a present tense, even though it's not formed regularly. You don't add an R to the infinitive. Instead, you drop the E. Okay, now you get the command forms, also your. That's irregular in this case because you drop the E from Eura, the command form. And then you have Eura. Now that the goes to an O, so it's Eura, or maybe it's Yorda. I'm not positive. Okay, so I did be Yai Yorda or Yai Yora. Okay, Har Yort. That is the uh, has uh, has done Har Yort, and had done is Hada Yort. Okay. Okay. Put a note on theme here, which I'm going to teach you something that's not in this sentence, but just because the word king is there, I want to note that king is an exception on the plural for it, for the indefinite plural. You say you go from thing to things. You do not add an er. Most nouns you do add an er to get to the indefinite plural. Okay, if there's a the involved, like the cars, it's something else. We're not going to get into that. But just say the word cars. Bill is a car. Biller is cars. Add an er. Okay, and okay, that's one way German makes a plural, by the way. Add an er here. That's the most common way. Add an er. But um, sometimes you don't add an er. That is usually means if you don't add an er to make the plural for the indefinite, it means it is a singular, a single noun. Excuse me, I'm saying that wrong. A single syllable noun. Okay, you got that right now. If it's a single syllable noun and it is neuter, you don't put an er to make the plural. King is an exception. King is a common noun, but when you say things, it's still thing. doesn't get an ER, even though it's not neuter. So therefore, it's an exception. It is a single syllable word, but it's not neuter, and yet it doesn't get an ER for the plural. So I just thought I'd cover that. But nothing to worry about for this sentence. It's just to prepare your mind for when we get to it some other day. Okay. So next sentence. He says, Vara var bra idag. The weather was great today. Vara is the weather. So var is weather. And that's spelled with the A back to back with the E type thing there. Var. The T is completely silent, so you just pronounce that E like a trailing E. So Vara, the weather. Obviously, what is the gender of Var? It's neuter because they're using an ET on the end to make the weather. Was Var, bra, 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 good, Edag, today. Okay. Okay. I have a note here that the word var can mean ram. And when it does mean ram, it is a masculine noun. It's not too unusual in languages that the same word will have more than one gender when it has more than one meaning. Okay. And also note that var is the command form from to be, vara. Okay. Like be good. Var, vashagu. You'll see that. Um, or did you already see it? I think you already saw it in the first video. Okay. 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 We already covered that. Okay. Covered that. So we're going to go to 401. 401, fourth sentence of the second story says, Jeg svømte I svømmehal om ettermiddagen. Okay, I went swimming this afternoon at the pool. Well, all it says is in the Norwegian is I swam in the swim hall in the afternoon. Okay. So Yai is I, Sunta, swim, swam here. Um, so it's from swimma. You put a T before the E, you got the past tense. Swimta, I swam. E in swim hall. Now it says swimma hallen, but this guy just says swim hall. Okay, that's okay. So I swam in the swim hall. Well, the word is swimming pool, but this particular word for swimming pool means it's an inside pool. That's why he's calling it a hall, right? Let's see here. And they do have the en in writing, even though he's not saying it, to add that the. I swam in the swimming pool. In that can mean other things like about. Um, think of it like the equivalent of in German. When before a time phrase, it means in, just like means in before a time phrase in German. So if you know German, you're ahead of the game. Okay. Then we got Ettermiddagen, means the afternoon. So etter means after, mid is mid, dag is day, so after midday, right? Well, what's after midday? The afternoon. Okay, so ettermiddag is afternoon. This says ettermiddagen, and an en on the end, the afternoon. I swam in the indoor swimming pool in the afternoon. Okay, okay. The general word for swimming pool is svømmebassen, which literally means swim basin, or just basin. So you can refer to a pool as a basin. Um, that's basin. Um, excuse me, basang. You pronounce the second syllable out. Basang. Okay. Um, let's see here. Another common meaning of om in this language is if, but the primary this, HVIS, this is the primary word for if, but OM is another word they use often for if. It can also mean weather, but when it means weather, you can usually just use if um, in the same sentence and mean the same thing. Okay, the fifth sentence is 404. The fifth sentence of the fourth story. Okay, it says Og Yai Gik Pa Shinu Om Kellen. That's what he says. Not getting the pronunciation further on this. That's just the way he said it. This okay, but a lot of times they say "ah," not "og" for "and," for instance, right? And okay, for he just says "kel," but other people will say "kavel" or something like that. Um, I'm going to look at the word. It looks like Kino. It looks like kino, right? Other languages, it is kino in other language, but not in this one. K before an I is sh. So it's she knew. The O is the OO sound like in boot. So it's she knew. Okay. 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 Word by word. All and yai, I, gik means went, paw, to. Paw can mean several things in, on, to, at. Okay, here, to. I went to Shinu movie in the evening. So in is om, evening is kel or kavel, but here he has a en on the end, so they don't pronounce the d here, so it's Kelvin, Kelvin, or Kavelen, depending on who's pronouncing it. Okay, so in the evening, right? Om means in before time phrase. Time phrase. In the evening is the time phrase. Okay, Kelvin. Um, and okay, conjugate aga, to go. Gar, add the R to get the present tense. It's a short verb, so Again, the command form is just going to be ga. Can't shorten it further. Gik, quite irregular, but in English, well, the verb is to go. In English, what's the past tense? Went. How did we get that, right? Completely irregular, right? Um, but if you know German, compare it to ging, or Dutch, also ging. So that's not too far off of gik to ging. Um, okay. Then we have har got. Okay, so G-A with a circle over it, T-T, got, and hada got. So has gone, har got, and had gone, hada got. Okay, here we got the gik, the past tense, that irregular past tense. I went, and I went to the movie. Okay, says I went to a movie. Okay, says don't have a. They did not put any article before she knew. Um, that is just usage, right? I mean, you wonder why is there no article for the for Shino movie? This isn't. It's probably the way they talk. Okay. Next sentence. Down to the second last sentence here. Okay. Oh, I wanted to mention something about to go. There's more than one way to say to go in this language. This particular one, ga, to, means to go or to walk. And if you can't literally walk to somewhere, you avoid using this verb. Okay. So even though you translate it as to go, understand that you didn't drive there probably. You're not traveling somewhere. Those are different verbs. Okay. If you can walk there, use ga. Otherwise, I'm going to give you another alternative here. Okay. Okay. Then we have the verb dra, D-R-A, dra. And it's kind of like the uh, English verb draw, because dra does mean to go, but it also means to pull or draw something, or draw a card. You use draw. So, well, in English, we can say to draw off from a place means to go away from a place, right? Well, draw literally means physically to leave a spot and go to somewhere else. Okay. Paralleling what draw off means in English. Um, so, and draw is what you're going to use, DRA, whenever you can't actually physically walk to the place that you're saying you're going to. Okay. And again, it can also mean to pull, to draw. Um, the other reason to use arga is literal, I mean, non-literal things like go to my Facebook page. You'd use "ga" for that because you're not physically moving, are you? Right. So to go to your Facebook page again, you use "ga." So okay, okay, okay. In my last video, I made a mistake pronouncing "excuse me." Uh, in shield, um, there's an SK that came before an I there, or before a Y in this case. In shield, so an SK before a Y, or an I, or an EI, or a O cross Y is always pronounced as a SH sound. Okay, so it's unshield. I said unskill. That's my mistake. Now, an SK otherwise is a sk if it's not before those four letters I, Y, EI, and O cross Y. And notice those two last letter combinations, one has an I in it, one has a Y in it. So you just remember IY and then EI and O cross Y. And okay, now in this case, in this particular sentence, we had Shinu, KI. Now the a KI as well as a KY or a KEI or a KO cross Y. Again, the K is pronounced as an SH. And this is something you don't have to know right now, but understand this, that it's a different SH sound depending on whether it's a SKI versus a KI. A KI is a slightly softer sound that is produced by starting with the normal SH, say in English, then sliding your tongue back a little bit. You slide your tongue back a little bit toward the roof of your mouth, away from your teeth, toward the roof of your mouth. It's softer. Why? Well, if you look at feel your tongue, feel how your mouth goes. Right near your teeth, you have a little close in, I don't know, your gum. I guess you can feel your gum right above your teeth, right? So the air flowing through there is kind of tight space and it's sharper. But as soon as you move your tongue back a little bit toward your palate, how your palate's way up there. Just take your tongue and feel your palate's way above your gum. And now the air is not going through a much larger space. So from it, so it's a softer sound. It's called a more palatized sound. Well, the roof at the top of your mouth is called the palate, right? So you move your tongue toward the roof of your mouth. They call that palatized. So it's more palatized with the KI versus the SKI. Okay, and that puts us on the last sentence for today. The sixth sentence, 407 of the fourth story. Okay. Jeg studerte hele morgenen also. Okay. I studerte, studied, hele means the entire, morgenen also. Morgenen, morning, also. Okay, ja is jai. We'll go over the conjugation of studerte here. It's studera, all studera. And this is a 100% regular verb. Studerer for the present tense. Studer, command. Study more, studer. Okay. Studied, studerta. Let's insert that T before the E. Har studert. Drop the E from the past tense. Har studert. Have studied. And hada studert. Had studied. Okay. Then we have hele. Okay, the word for whole in this language is H-E-L. But then they had the morning, and the next word is the morning. So that is common using an E-N. Morning is M-O-R-G-E-N. Add the E-N here, means the morning. Well, that means that the H-E-L has to have an E added to it to go be hele, whole morning. That's one way to look at it. Another way to look at it is hele means all through the, okay? And so I studied all through the morning, okay? Um, and the word also looks awful lot like also, doesn't it? I mean, it sounds more like also because you don't pronounce that G. Also, also. And we'll call that good for today. Hey, if you like this kind of thing, please hit the like button. Think about maybe subscribing. Hopefully, I'll keep making these. I'm getting older, so or did I wake up? It's a good thing, right? You get to a certain age, you never promise anybody, oh yeah, I'm gonna be doing a whole bunch of these. What if? Never mind. That's I get too morose there. Okay, I'm gonna try to keep doing these videos, and if you subscribe, you'll know when I make the next one. Okay. Um, Remind you to please, if you don't know this, if you hit that little the A symbol on my video, it takes you right to my homepage for all my videos, right? Of my channel page, right? And you can click on any video I've made, including if you haven't watched it, the first one in this series called Norwegian 1. Again, this would be Norwegian 2. Also, tell other people about this, and also feel free to comment in the comments of this video about what you're learning. Any comments about my video? Be nice. Thank you. But tell me what if I mess up too bad, let me know. Hey, y'all have a great day. Bye bye.